All right, recording is started. All right, we're going to get started. And today we're going to talk about creating healthy relationships through using mindfulness. So this is a deep subject, healthy relationships, trying to kind of get to a new understanding, a new place with relationships, and work towards resolving those chronically conflicted relationships that we can get into, those chronic conflicts, that fight that we have with the same person about the same topic so many times can create its own kind of energy blockage in a relationship. So the focus of today's workshop is creating a mindful state that allows us to step out of that chronic conflict and open up to better communication. And communication really is the key to developing healthy relationships with people. Communication is the key. Communication is listening and speaking and exchanging information, but the most important of these two is listening. We're going to focus a lot on listening today, developing deep listening. Really absorbing what's going on is kind of a key component of creating a healthy relationship. Sometimes just the act of listening deeply to someone allows them to really get to the core of what's going on with them. And like any problem solving, laying out the problem completely often resolves the problem by itself. Sometimes it's once we see the whole problem laid out that we realize the solution is staring right at us. It's the confusion about what the problem is that stops the solution from showing up. So the process of deeply listening to somebody allows that person who's speaking to really fully see their situation completely. And the act of being a deep listener can often resolve things just by itself. But before we get into the mindfulness techniques and the skill building for deep listening, I want to talk about the second piece of creating a healthy relationship, because this is kind of a new piece for a lot of people. Mindfulness and listening are not new concepts for most people. But the second topic that's critical for healthy relationships is understanding what is involved in empowering ourselves and other people. Feeling empowered and being able to create empowerment in others is a key piece of creating healthy relationships. And there's a graphic that I put in your manual, and I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to screen share it so we can all look at it together. It's on page 6. So this is an important concept that I want to get across, that often in our closest relationships with people, we end up creating roles that we slide into. And the triangle on the left, the powerless triangle, is the common repetitive roles that we end up sliding into that end up creating a powerless situation for everyone involved. And what we really want is the relationship dynamic that's in the empowerment triangle on the right. And we're going to work towards creating that. But first I want us to understand this powerless triangle. In a relationship where people find themselves having this kind of chronic, repetitive conflicts with other people, you can sometimes see the roles that people slide into. So if we begin with the top of this triangle, the rescuer, this is a role that a lot of people end up taking on if they're trying to help others. So what is a rescuer? Okay, a rescuer is somebody that's trying to do something for somebody else. Okay, a rescuer rescues other people by reaching in and doing something for the other person that often they could do for themselves. So that makes you a rescuer in the negative sense of the word. Unlike like a policeman or a fireman or an EMT, those people are rescuers because they are helping people who can't help themselves. A fireman goes into a burning building because he's the one qualified to do it. He picks somebody up and carries them out because that person can't get out. So they are doing something, the fireman is doing something that another person cannot do for themselves. So they are authentically a rescuer in the authentic, true sense of the word. But if we step into a relationship with somebody in our life as a rescuer, we are not in an authentic role of a rescuer. We are actually rescuing somebody by doing something for them that they should do for themselves. So for instance, when your child is 4 years old, you tie their shoes because they can't tie their shoes. It's appropriate. That's an age-appropriate thing that a parent does for the child. But what happens if you are tying their shoe for them when they are 10 years old? Because you're in a hurry, okay? You're trying to get out the door, you're in a hurry, they're dawdling, and you reach down, you tie their shoe. Because you are in a hurry, it makes your life easier. Now, what happens to that child when you tie their shoe for them when they're capable of tying it? You are giving them the message that they are still a child, younger than they actually are. And if they're paying attention to that, they might get upset about you tying their shoe for them. They might say that they want to do it themselves. In fact, it's in our human nature to want to do stuff for ourselves. It's the 2-year-old or 3-year-old who wants to tie their own shoes that is frustrating for a parent, because it's the nature of children to want to do things for themselves even when they're not capable. We end up giving our kids the wrong impression by doing stuff for them because we're in a hurry. We give them the wrong impression that they are not good at doing something. We are telling them, you're not good at it, I'm going to do it for you. And we do that all the time with our kids. As they get older, we are in a hurry, or we want something done at the adult level. So we give our kids the impression they're not good at something, and then the kid learns to pull back and hold back. It's easy to see that dynamic between a parent and a child. But what we don't realize is that we do that with our friends and with other adults all the time. When we step in as a rescuer and we try to do something for somebody else that they should be able to do for themselves, we are giving them the message that they are not good at it, that they are not capable of doing this thing for themselves. We are saying we don't have respect for them. When we step in and give our adult kids money because their job isn't good enough, we are telling them their job isn't good enough. When we step in and we pick up after our adult children, we're telling them that they are slobs and they're like little kids. So we are acting like we have the right to tell somebody what to do. So you see, we step in to help. That's the rescuer. That's the top of the triangle. But we end up sliding into the persecutor role. That's one of the bottom points of the triangle. The persecutor tries to make somebody do something. So the rescuer does it for them. The persecutor tries to make the other person do it. And these two roles really quickly interchange, from doing something for somebody and then trying to make them do it. When we step in to try to help somebody, we end up saying things that are persecuting towards that person. We treat them like a child. We tell them they need to be different than they are, they need to do something different than they're doing. So we become the push on this person to try to make them do something.